Okay, guys, this is the fan show after the Liverpool 4, Tottenham Hotspur 0 Carabao Cup semi-final second leg. I'll be talking to a number of Spurs fans from around the world, and we'll be discussing that absolutely diabolical performance. Listen, I'm not desperately looking forward to this, but what can you do? Sometimes it's important to try and find ways to find some positives or speak to fellow Spurs fans and see if we can do anything. So first up, I'm going to Turkey and Orkun. Can you hear me, mate?
Yes, Barnaby. How are you?
Well, I'm absolutely appalling, Orkun, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've just heard, my watch along and the instant match reaction. Are you feeling similarly? Are you feeling more angry, or what have you got?
Yeah, just totally frustrated. I mean, tonight it really looked like boys against men, and I got to say, look, I know obviously our squad is decimated, and some of the players like Kulusevski, I totally agree with you. Today he just looks spent. He was making all sorts of mistakes. I would say his kind of form in the last couple of games hasn't been great. Son is also just non-existent. And usually those are the players that we look to. They're supposed to be the sort of the leaders of the team. And they just look spent, to be honest. We just couldn't seem to get out of our end.
Couldn't hold it up in the final third. And I said it when Solanke got injured. I said, it's going to be so difficult going to Anfield now if you can't even challenge players like Konate and Van Dijk.
Exactly. I mean, Richarlison is like a ghost. I know he tries and, he got injured again, it looks like, but there's such a massive chasm between what Solanke does and what Richarlison does. It's miles apart, and I think we just have to, I really hope in the summer, look, I'm sure he's a lovely guy and stuff, but, Premier League is such a competitive arena that you just can't allow for things like that. I really hope that we replace him, because I think we need two really strong forward players with the type of system that Ange plays. And there is such a drop in quality, when you take Solanke out of there.
But it wasn't really. I mean, it was partly that, but also for me, I don't know. Answer me this, mate. Do you think that we weren't able to keep up with their energy because of the injuries, because of motivation, or something else? Because they just, it's a cliche, but they wanted it so much more, and we didn't have the belief to do anything.
Yeah, no, they were definitely up for it, for sure. But I do, part of it is, I think it does come back to the fact that, they are able to rotate so well, because when they bring in their subs, today, when it was even towards the end of the game, he brought on, the players that he brought on would walk straight into a lot of the teams in the Premier League, not just our team, but a lot of the teams in the Premier League. So there's such a big difference between their squad depth and our squad depth. But yeah, most of our players just look spent.
Orkun, let me ask you another question then. Why do we get more injuries than any other club in terms of first team players?
Yeah, that's the big mystery, isn't it? Look, even going back to Poch was famous for his double sessions on a daily basis. And his motto was, we suffer during the week so we can enjoy the weekend and win matches. And we never seem to suffer this either. Conte was famous for his run. So I don't know whether it's the medical team or, I don't know whether it's,
it can't be, because it's the same medical team, or at least it was when Ange started. It was the same medical team that we had under all of those managers. So do you know what? You've just mentioned something there that's made me think something different for the first time. Is it possible that he's underworking them in training?
Possibly.
Because I've been talking about, I assume it's like relentless training, because he talks about his relentlessness, but maybe it's the opposite and he's underplaying. But some of the things coming out, because the head of sports science left the club and alluded to the fact that Ange was taking risks with players when they weren't ready to play.
Right. I don't know. I mean, if that's the case, then obviously that's not great because, especially, obviously it's the Premier League, and the way we play in the Premier League is such a physical league. And it's, 100 miles an hour non-stop. And obviously for squads to kind of get through that, survive that, everybody, including the manager, the medical team, the physios, everybody has to be on the same page. And if there are obviously contradictions there between the different departments, then obviously, I don't think that's going to work. I did find it interesting though, obviously when, before Ange, all the majority of the managers that we had, I mean, Poch, literally when he goes into a job, he goes in there with about 5-6 different backroom staff. And I think Mourinho is the same. He's got his sort of 2 or 3 men that he always goes into, no matter what club or what job he goes to, he goes with them. I think Conte had 1 or 2, but Ange just basically just turned up by himself, and that didn't. I did kind of question that a little bit. I thought, doesn't this guy have any kind of, like a fitness coach or whatever that he doesn't work?
It was seen as a positive at the time. I mean, I'm sure it was a positive to Daniel Levy not having to pay for a whole load of people coming in and out. But
exactly. But then the thing is, obviously, because again, going back to Poch, I know I keep going back to Poch, but I was the same, mate. I was so desperate for Poch to come back. I wasn't happy when Ange came in. I've got to be honest with you. I wasn't an Ange fan when he arrived because I didn't know much about him. But because Poch was available for a second coming, I was just so hopeful, and I thought, like, one of these days. But obviously, Ange came in, and we had that pre-season. Everything seemed to be positive. We got some early business done as soon as the window opened, and then obviously the first 10 games, 1 8, draw 2. I thought, oh, okay, and I came around to it. But then obviously we had the little well, not little, it was a bit of a crisis last season as well between October and January, February. But I don't know. I really don't know. Like tonight as well, some of his selections surprised me. I've got to be honest with you. Like, I know obviously we haven't got many players available, but I really thought, why not start, Tell and Danzo would have been the most freshest players, and they've just come in. I know they've only just come in, but if Danzo can start, I thought Tell can start as well.
Yeah, like I said, and he's played Richarlison. He's played Richarlison in the red zone. Now it looks like he's injured. Listen, Orkan, thank you so much, mate, for being a part of the show today. I've got to let you go because I've got people to talk to, but hopefully speak to you after a better result of the weekend. Cheers, mate. Sorry about that. Okay, next I'm going to Australia, and is it Shay or Shy? How are you doing?
It's Shy. Hey, guys, nice to see you again, by the way. And hopefully you can hear me. I'm just standing outside the local Burger King because I had to leave my partner's house because their kids sleeping. So it kind of suits how I'm feeling.
How did you? So what did you make of that performance, Shy?
I know you swore a little bit before, but I'm fucking hurt. I'm standing here wearing my Spurs Tokyo shirt, getting to the game in June. We put in money to this. It just hurts, this one. I don't know. I didn't remember the that old Chelsea guy you see on YouTube. He's an idiot, but he got to come on. He's like, there's lack of fight, lack of passion, like he would go off. But honestly, it felt like that today. It just hurt. We, Kinski, he had errors in him. Like, he's still new, but it just felt like, as you said it perfectly correct, the midfield, like, no one got to the first ball. We were just giving it away. I felt sorry for Archie Gray. Any other defender, we slate them, but he's been playing off the park so well out of position. Was this a semi-final? Was this and have we won 10 trophies in the last 5 years? We just didn't it felt like almost like that passion there. It's they call it the Mickey Mouse Cup, but Jesus, I'll take the Donald Duck Cup for all I care. We need something. It was shit.
Shy, you're Australian. Shy, sorry to interrupt, mate, but you're Australian, and there's obviously a very strong pro-Ange sentiment from the Australian
I'm on this.
Yeah, go on.
I didn't know that much about Ange. I knew him when they started. Went to Yokohama a little bit. To me, it's like, yes, I want Ange to succeed, and yes, we we are behind in being Australia and that. But to me, it's like I'm still on the fence with Andrew. It's so hard to know what to think with it, because today I don't think it was about injuries. I've all been about it. Like, you can't judge him in that up until, he hasn't had a full squad. We're having players who have played. I was at like 8 of the home games in the UK recently. We played, 15 games, most of the same players in the last, 2 months and that. But today, I don't say I've seen that performance before, because I know that, we struggled in semi-finals. But, I feel like you could have had a Kane in that team today, and there was just a lack. There was a lack of everything. It was almost like, as you said, we got intimidated by Anfield.
Yeah,
we got there, and sorry. Yeah, I'm just hurting badly today, hurting a lot.
Yeah, just saying lack of belief, really. Listen, we got the Aston Villa game now Sunday night, and I said it in my post match. I said, if you're Aston Villa, you're probably watching that game, and Emery will get them in the morning. Just be like, we've had a free week. You guys should be a lot fitter. They've got 10 people out. Just get in their faces, press them to death, forward press from the front, and presumably we're going to go out of the FA Cup on Sunday as well, aren't we?
Look, the only thing I'll say with Aston Villa is we seem to be a little bit of a bogey team in a way, kind of like we, when they're on good form, we still seem to get a result. I feel like it's still early in the FA Cup. I just feel, pressure's there, but I feel like it's, we're always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Like, we fall at the most important hurdles. And so I don't know, it could be anything with this team as well. Against Aston Villa, I would not hedge a bet on anything. Yeah, I know you're saying before, could this be Andrew's last game? Last game if he loses to them. Again, it's kind of hard as well, because you asked me if we didn't sign Taylor, we didn't sign anyone. The whole Levy, Enoch out and Joe Lewis out and whatever you want with it. I guess the sentiment's changed a bit because we have signed those players, but I still think it was negligible because we've got injuries because of how late the signings came in. So, and I'm not, as I said, I'm not even about Anjan. You could have had Joe Schmo, whoever, in managing the team. It's not about that, but I don't think making a change makes a difference. Like it doesn't with our current team. And I hate the term Spursy. I hate it. But today fundamentally was Spursy. Like, we went there and we're just like, there was no belief that there was just no belief that we were going to do anything. And that's what hurts the most. And I know you, you went back to Poch and that, and don't get me wrong, there were performances under Poch, and I love Poch, he was dad to me, but I think Poch's going to be managing that team, and it's the same shit. It really is.
Yeah. I'm just going to give a quote from Jamie Redknapp on Sky. He said this: "I cannot remember a team in my lifetime who've gone down with less of a fight than Tottenham did tonight. Not a single shot on target in a semi-final second leg when you're trying to change the course of your history. I feel sorry for those young players. The manager, Jed Spence, played about 14 different positions tonight. I've never seen anything like it. There had been some lows for Tottenham this season against Everton, Palace, Leicester, Ipswich, but that scoreline, it's just horrendous." Now, listen, Jamie Redknapp hates Spurs ever since, his dad got sacked for coming fourth, but he basically nailed it, didn't he?
Yes, but I can tell you a team who showed less fight and less, desire with it. Every other time Tottenham have played in the big semi-finals and finals, I think I can remember a team, because I watch Spurs every week, and that's the hard part. I think today the scoreline didn't flatter us. It was woeful, obviously 4-0.
It did flatter us, actually.
Sorry, you're right. Sorry, it did flatter us, but I think that I've seen that performance time and time again. Again, I love Spurs. I wouldn't travel around the world all the time to see them. But the thing is that we've seen less fight, less passion. The final we had to Liverpool was shit in the Champions League a few years ago, in the controversial handball and that. But again, we had no desire, no passion in that. Against Chelsea, what was it? Well, I went to the one, I was in UK in 2019, 1-0 up in the semi-final. Again, same thing. We came back to the semi-final. We lost it. 1-0 against an average Chelsea team at that. I think they were an average Chelsea team at that time. Semi-final, second leg, bottled it again. Like we showed. So Jamie Redknapp, much in case where they probably doesn't watch him enough.
I've just put it on the screen. There's a good comment from RB. Says Jamie also played with the same mentality for Spurs. That's actually true.
Oh yeah. No, it's
listen,
true. I mean, the Spurs players do, unfortunately. Sorry.
Yeah, listen, mate, sorry, mate. I've got lots of people to talk to, so I've got to go. But thanks so much for being a part of the show, and hopefully speak to you after a better result.
Nah, pleasure. Thanks, Barnaby. Keep it up, you and Chris. Keep it up, mate.
Bye-bye. Okay. Next up, we're going all the way to Canada with Tom. Tom, how are you feeling, mate?
Oh, that was a hard watch, I have to say. There's one thing about being tired or gassed or something like that, but the lack of heart today was really hard to watch. I mean, the kids look like kids. I mean, that was hard, but Betancourt's performance was shocking. I mean, that's a guy that has had a ton of time off, that should be coming back to the squad to prove himself. And that was just a shocking performance, to give away the ball that easily, to show no fight at all. And you could park a bus right through our midfield. I mean, that was just parting of the Red Sea and let them come through and just attack us every turn.
Yeah. Time and time again.
And I don't understand Ange's tactics, and I'm usually an Ange defender. And to look at his tactics today was kind of like looking ahead of this game to say, well, I'm going to try to build a squad that's going to be able to be rested for Villa. Well, no, you got to play every game like it's the last. And to see the squad that he had today, and I feel bad for guys like Danso and Tell to be like, what did I get myself into today? But Danso played well. I have to say, for what he had in front of him, he played well. Tell, unfortunately, delivery, there wasn't anything, so we didn't really see much from him. But, that was the hardest part to watch, was the lack of heart, the lack of, and that it just looked like we didn't want it as much. And we could blame how tired we are. We could blame injuries. We could blame a lot of things. But, they should have fought harder. And that's what is depressing today.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to give you an example.
Going into the weekend.
I'm going to give you an example. Basuma has had time off, so he's had a rest. I mean, I know he was injured, but he's had a rest. And yet he is solely responsible, as far as I'm concerned, for us going 1-0 down with his inability to play a 5-yard pass. And it's because he loses concentration. And he does it too many times. He's got the talent to take the ball on the half turn. He's got the talent to do a lot of things. But I think he's resting on his laurels. And frankly, I think we should have been buying a replacement central midfielder who you can count to be concentrating and focused the whole game. And we don't have it.
No, we don't. And I agree with you. Basuma is one of those guys that for some reason, for his age, lacks that maturity and that thought process. I think that he's talented he's God-given talent, but I just don't think he has the intelligence to play the Premier League game, unfortunately. And I know that's harsh to say. But, another guy that I don't want to get away from is Richarlison. I memean, this guy's made of glass. And I understand the tempo. I understand.
They're all made of glass.
There's bad luck, but this guy's got to go. Look, I just the 60 million that we paid for him, to watch him barely make 2 games without hobbling off. And again, anyone who's ever played the game, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get knocked around. It's the Premier League. It's a tough league. It's a rough league. It's probably the roughest out there. But, I mean, he's just out of his depth. I mean, he's got to go. The only place he's going to do well is Saudi, because it's Saudi. No one's going to hurt him. He's going to go score a bunch of goals.
I agree with you on that, but I need to ask you, why do you think we have so many injuries? Why? Why do we have more injuries than everybody else?
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's hard to watch 15 guys out at one point out of the first team that are out, and it's hard not to say that it could be the training and it could be the way that we play. Unfortunately, with the bench being so short at one point, and I agree with one of the previous callers, the one from Turkey, was we waited too long into the window for injuries to get that much worse, and then when you start to bring in fresh legs, it doesn't help you. So I think that's part of it. We had a short bench. We sent out a bunch of players out on loan, and that just compounds it. But I mean, it also comes down to recruiting. Van de Ven had hamstring issues before he came to us. He was out part of the year in Germany prior to him coming. So we knew he had hamstring injuries. And don't get me wrong, unbelievable player, world class, but now has even more hamstring injuries based on the way that we play. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Bad luck could be. But it's just going into the weekend now against Aston Villa, and I think you're right. They're going to look at us and go get in their face, rough them up, see what's going to happen, and then we'll be back on our heels. But I mean, watching Anne's press conference before this game was, I'm afraid to put Van de Ven and Romero in because we're going to hurt him again. Okay, but what would they be playing for if we're not in the Carabao Cup and we're not in the FA Cup? What are we playing for? 10th? Yeah. 9th? Play them. If they get hurt for the rest of the year, fine at this point.
I'm not sure I can agree with that, Tom, to be honest, because that is what he's doing. He's doing it with Richarlison. He got injured again. But listen, it's all subjective and it's all valid points. Listen, thanks so much for being a part of the show, mate. And I'll speak to you again, hopefully after something less depressing.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me again.
Cheers, mate. Bye. Okay. Next up over to Ireland, one of our regulars, Paul, mate. How are you feeling?
Not great. I'm 43 years a Spurs fan, and this is probably as low as it's gotten, if I'm honest. Generally, it's just my nature. I generally take any loss fairly bad. I go a bit quiet and a bit down for a couple of hours, but that was so poor. It was so poor.
Yeah.
Men against boys doesn't even come close. It doesn't. We just look. I know, is there an inferiority complex when we go to the likes of Anfield and the Emirates to a certain extent, maybe, or Stamford Bridge? You can pick a couple of grounds where you just fear before you go there. This is not going to go well.
Yeah.
We touched on it after the first leg. One wasn't next or near enough. That needed to be 3 at least, which it proved in the end tonight to be right because they scored 4. It needed to be at least that, and just poor performances all around it. Like Bentancur, I think on his day, and we spoke about this on Sunday, an absolute tank, a Rolls Royce of a player when he's on it. But how do you go from his performance on Sunday to his performance tonight? It's chalk and cheese.
Because he can't play 2 games in a week because he's fucking made of glass like everybody else.
Yeah, and that is also now becoming an issue. It's fine, we got injured players, bits and pieces coming back, but they're coming back to a team that are now literally on their last legs. Because the players out there now have played so much that they're literally out on their feet. And if they're not injured, you're absolutely spent. It's one or the other now at the moment with the whole squad. And even on the signings, as your last caller mentioned there, waiting until the last 2 days of a transfer window to bring in some players, when it should have been done in the first 2 days, because that's when we had injured players, and it only got worse as the month of January went on. Yeah. It just makes no sense to me. It really doesn't.
Let me ask you a question, Paul. It's quite a simple one. If we get knocked out of the FA Cup on Sunday, is Ange going to get sacked?
I'm Anging constantly, but my patience is starting to wear a little thin.
But put yourself in Daniel. I'm asking you, knowing Daniel Levy as you do.
Oh no, well, knowing Daniel Levy, he'll get rid of him absolutely, because that's just true to form. That we know he's done that numerous times. I think that I know what the fact that he spent, was it 22 or 27 million on a defender, quite possibly if the Tell loan works out, that could end up costing us 60 million. Now, if I'm honest, I don't think that, in my opinion, I don't think that was the right call, to be honest with you. Tell is not, I don't think it's the kind of player, like if we are looking to either replace or get someone similar to a Solanke, which Richarlison is not. To me, why weren't we looking at maybe Evan Ferguson, someone of that stature? I know he's only young as well, But a tall, strong player, hold up a ball like Solanke, Matthias Tell is not going to do that.
Yeah, from what I heard, Evan Ferguson wasn't interested in coming to Spurs. He didn't think he'd be the main guy, and maybe that's why he's gone to West Ham.
Yeah.
Let me just before I let you go, because I've got lots of people to talk to and only about 20 minutes left. Villa at the weekend. What do you think? Do you think I have to say I'm really fearing it now.
I like to say I'm the ultimate optimist, but yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but true to form, when we're not supposed to win or when it looks bad, we probably will.
Well, we weren't supposed to win tonight, mate.
No. You're true.
But listen, but the thing is, they've had a week off, so Emery is just going to show them all this and say, literally all you need to do is run. If you run and you get in their faces, they cannot handle it.
Absolutely. No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I think we could be. I think we could be in the spot of bother. And going out of 2 cups in the space of 4 days could cause untold damage for the rest of the season.
When you're in when you're 14th place in the league, he's only got the cups. That's all he's got.
Literally. Yeah.
Okay, Paul. Listen, mate. Thanks again. Good to talk to you as ever. Thanks for being part of the show. I'll speak to you after the next one. Cheers, mate. Bye. Okay. Next up, another of our regulars, Liam. Liam.
Hi.
How was it from where you were watching, mate?
Just pathetic performance, really, in my opinion. We went there with completely the wrong mindset. We went there how we always go to Anfield, like when we go to Stamford Bridge. It's the same mindset. We go there like we're 1-0 up, and we go and try and sit. Why go and sit? Like, why go and defend? At least if we go, make a game of it, try and win the game. Don't sit on a 1-0 lead. 1-0, especially when you're Spurs, is never good enough. I mean, like, in my opinion, like Bentancur starting out at field, I think Bentancur's completely useless. Bentancur and Basuma, shocking midfielders. Too easy to shove off the ball. Sarr gets taken off before Basuma and Bentancur do, which I'll never understand. Because in my opinion, I think Sarr in that midfield always gives 100%. I think he's probably, along with Bergvall, our most attacking-minded midfielder. Bentancur and Basuma just sit there. I think they're all just pretty pathetic tonight. Like, I mean, bringing on Mikey Moore in the 81st minute, I completely lost and baffled, to be honest, as why that's happened.
Yeah.
Attacking player, lots of pace, bring him on earlier, let him run at them, let him try and create something. No creativity in that team.
No pace, no creativity, and no desire and no energy. No. What do you think is going to happen with Villa at the weekend?
I think we go out and we lose 2-3-0. I have no faith in it at all. I mean, you turn up with that kind of mindset. Like tonight, in my opinion, I know I come on here and I'm anti-Levy a lot, but who else could it be? It's Levy mindset, backward mindset, losing mindset. Just getting there is good enough. We got to a semi-final, so that's fine. That's kind of what Levy's thingy throughout this club. This is what he's pushed throughout the club. Just getting there is okay. We don't actually have to win anything. We're Beyonce FC now. As long as we have Beyonce performing at the stadium and a go-kart track and a hotel, that's fine. We're a football club. We're a football club that lose and we don't win anything because our mentality is awful.
And if we do lose 2 or 3-0 to Villa, do you think Levy would then fire Ange Postecoglou after that?
I don't think Levy will sack Ange because whilst Ange is there, Levy has a buffer between him and the fans. He knows the fans are turning against him. But from what I've seen in my experience in the past, it's always for how long? Because our fans have protested before and then something changes, like bringing a signing or we win a big game.
They've never properly protested, mate.
That's what I mean.
The most has been like 150 people with an embarrassing banner.
This is exactly what I mean. Like, us as fans can say we want change. Then we need to do something. Like, I know, like, boycott games, maybe. People need to start boycotting games. Stop spending money. Stop going. If we want actual change, you have to make something happen. We can't just 150 people have a bit of a protest. We sing at the games. He hears it. That's not good enough. And nothing will change until he's gone. Mentality won't change. Just everything about us, mentality, from the club top down. losing mentality.
Okay, Liam, thanks again for being part of the show today. I'll speak to you after the Villa game, I'm sure.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Cheers, mate. Bye. Okay, next up, going back to Ireland with Noel. Noel, what did you make of that 4-0 demolition, mate?
I was listening to your after-match talk. I don't know what to say. I'm just exasperated, to watch such a performance. It was, they call it brutal, really. There was nothing, no passion. The whole malaise spread right across the team. I agree with you. Danso did okay. And I think Tell did okay. He made a couple of good runs. He looked energetic, something that we need. But the midfield was so poor. And I agree with you. How many goals has Basuma given away all season? You could count them. He gives a penalty away against Chelsea. And there is so many. And, Kinski was, for the first time, I could see Vicario coming back in again quickly because he looked completely devoid of confidence. It spread to him as well. Richarlison, the glass slipper man, Sonny's fallen off the cliff. I did actually like Jed Spence. I think he's improving all the time.
Yeah.
But I can't really find very many positives, And with the squad that we have, I just think actually that last season we played something like about 42, 43 games. I think tonight was close to 40 games. And with the squad that we have, we're not capable of, of sustaining that. And when you look at it, really, it was men against boys. And, Liverpool, it could have been more. We were lucky, actually. We were lucky that it was 4. It could have been a complete. It's embarrassing as it is, but it could have been worse. So
yeah.
I'm like yourself, not very happy. Lack of fight, giving the ball away cheaply. This is what I can't understand. Being pushed off the ball. Liverpool more physical, wanted it more. Everything about the whole performance. It was mind-boggling. And the fact, all we needed, even at 2-0, was a goal to bring it to extra time. And, we never woke up. It was a couple of good runs from Tell and 1 or 2 good passages of play. But, only, I don't think the Liverpool goalkeeper hardly touched the ball for the whole night. I don't think we made him make a save. So,
no, we didn't.
Really fearing for Sunday as well. And I think you're right. Villa have had a week off and they'll be licking their lips at Spurs coming to Villa, but maybe something will change. But at the moment with that squad and the amount of games that we're playing, can't see it.
Noel, thanks for being patient, mate, and thanks for being part of the show. Let's talk hopefully after a better result against Villa, but I agree with you. I'm not feeling good about it.
Okay, Bradley, thank you very much for having me on. And
cheers, mate.
Come on, Spurs.
Thanks. Okay. Next up, another regular in Steve. Steve in the Czech Republic. Steve,
hi, Barnaby.
How are you feeling?
Have a guess. Yeah, absolutely mortified. It was absolutely, performance devoid of any kind of passion. It's so lethargic, people strolling around like I was a big fan of Bentancur most of the time, but you're getting dispossessed and Bissouma. The thing is, why after Bergvall was man of the match in the first leg and he had a good game, took the game by the scruff of his neck, not only scoring the goal, and he plays Bissouma. I don't understand the lineup in the midfield with Bissouma at all. He's he's just a lazy player as far as I'm concerned, like the other couple of chaps were saying. And I think even Bentancur has gone off the boil completely. So we need more midfielders.
Obviously, I'm just seeing on X and on Twitter some people trying to suggest that the Van Dijk elbow deserved a red card. Do you think there's anything in that, or are we just clutching at straws?
Yeah, I had a look at that as well before I came on. Yeah, I think we're clutching at straws. But some of these teams do tend to get away with these kind of fouls. The thing I was curious about or bemused, there was 2 things, and one was the penalty they got. From what I was watching, and I saw it obviously several times, I thought Kinski played the ball first. It's difficult to time it as a keeper. I thought it was a bit harsh. What did you think about the penalty? Although I haven't
seen a replay close enough where I didn't see. I didn't see him get a touch on it, but if you say he did, but I have to say, you're never, once it's given on the field, that's never being turned around for that. I don't think.
No, but I don't. So why wasn't it VAR then? Why isn't VAR?
I'm sure they will have. They will have looked at it, but I think in situations like that, they very often are like, if he doesn't get enough of the ball, do you know what I mean? Listen,
I mean, that was one. You know, I'm not saying we would have done any better, but it was a couple of. And at the other end, I thought we had a corner.
That was completely ridiculous. But listen, unfortunately, you know, we're so bad that we can't even blame the ref, even though he was poor. It had nothing to do with it.
I'm not trying to blame him, but there's just one or two things that could have swung it our way. Like you said, it was maybe clutching at straws, but no, like everyone said, we were completely devoid of any kind of passion. They were winning all the first balls and second balls.
They're just showing. Sorry to interrupt, but they're just showing a replay of the third goal, right? Liverpool in the midfield, we're just jogging. We are literally just jogging. It's like 3 passes and then they're in. And this is stuff, I've been saying this for a long time. This is stuff that Manchester United have had aimed at them for years. When Roy Keane's on and they show clips of Man United when they've lost a game, and you watch all of their players jogging around. And Tottenham have become that. And I've brought it up after a few of our defeats recently. How sure are we that they're definitely playing for Ange? Obviously at Brentford it seemed like they were, but did they actually take the game into their own hands at Brentford and just like, actually the only way we're going to win is if we do like this? Whereas tonight they're just like, you know, like we said, intimidated and like, oh, I'm not going to run my nuts off. I haven't got it. Or I mean, listen, if they're, you know, I know I'm just repeating myself. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's like, why are they all fucking injured? Why are they all injured? Nobody else's team have 10 of their first team players injured, and another one gets injured tonight.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I think it comes down to the threadbare squad that we have
because they're injured. It's threadbare because they're injured.
Well, we haven't got enough depth of squad. We haven't got enough quality.
On transfer deadline day, the Peterborough chairman, who's a bit of a character, but he was on Sky Sports News, and he's the first person I've seen say it who's on broadcast, who's not a fan, where he's like, has anybody asked the manager why he's got so many injuries? Because nobody else does. And it's not coincidence. I'm sorry. But anyway, look, before I let you go, because I have to, unfortunately, a prediction for the game against Aston Villa on Sunday.
I know what you're saying as well, that we look like we're going to get hammered, but these games never always turn out, apart from tonight. Not tonight. We lost. I think we might get a draw and take them back to our place. There you go. I'm not overconfident.
Is it replays in the 4th round? I don't even know. I got it wrong.
I don't know, to be honest. But it might go to penalties, and then it would be a disaster. No, on paper they're better than us after tonight's performance, but maybe you'll G them up. No, I don't think they threw it. Going back to what you're saying, sorry, I know you've got other people, but I don't think the players. It's a semi-final, so you know they also want silverware as players. Come on, so I don't think they threw it. I thought the lineup and the whole thing was pathetic. We didn't have an out. We didn't have an out in the first half with Richarlison. I think we've been extremely unlucky rather, that Solanke got injured. You know, it's bad enough Mickey van der Ven, but Solanke, we didn't have that out, that hold-up player that could bring in other people. So, so anyway.
Steve, thank you so much, mate, for being a part of the show. Appreciate it. Let's talk after what will hopefully be a better result on Sunday.
Yeah, okay. See you later, Barnaby. Bye-bye. Thanks. Bye.
And over to Brazil now with G. G, what have you got for us? Any positivity at all? Oh, you're on mute, G. You're on mute. You're muted. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, that's the kind of day we're having, isn't it, really?
There we go.
Hello, Barnaby. All right, mate. I do actually really, really enjoy your commentary. I followed you about, you know, I really like your channel as well. There's
a butt coming here.
Oh, get me fucking on.
No, I just mean there's a but. Like you're about to say but.
No, it's not a but.
All right.
Thank you. That's it. I really like it, and I try and get people to come over to your channel because I think you deserve the subs. I like the stuff you do on there.
Cheers, mate. How do you feel about getting absolutely
in another world, though? I would say that you completely lost it again today, as you do, and I totally understand why you lost it. You know, but. And you say these things the same thing, and I just want to address that really, because on one part you say one thing, and I understand it. You know, we're all hurt. We've just lost a game against the best club in the world. Let's face it, probably. Do you know what I mean? And when you say men against boys, yes, probably true as well, because we've got 18 and 17-year-old kids out there, haven't we? We've got two players that haven't even played for us before playing tonight. And you expect, and everyone else expect, for some reason, because we managed, when we had a forward, a striker, all game, Solanke, that we managed to get a bye on a win when Bissouma, for once in his life, didn't actually make a mistake. For some reason, you think this is some kind of a catastrophe. You have no right to do that. None of us have. None of us have a right.
Of course we do. We have absolutely our right to feel how we feel about the football club.
You have a right to feel how you feel, but not to make those excuses, because there's no excuse on that. They are the excuses. I want to know what position didn't Gray play tonight?
Let me give you an example of something that would have impressed me tonight. If after 10 minutes, where we could literally all see that we were getting completely outnumbered in midfield and there was huge gaps down the middle and we were just embarrassing, he took off Son Heung-min and brought on Lucas Bergvall and put 4 in the middle of midfield and said, get around that. And then at least each time we had the ball, we'd have another extra option to pass it to. But he didn't. He's unwilling to. And he didn't even make changes at halftime when we could all see that Sarr and Bissouma had to come off. And then he made it 10 minutes later when it was already 2-0 and the game had gone.
Would have made a slightest bit of difference. Those 10 minutes worth of a sub. That's basically what your whole argument is on here, Barnaby. I've got to be honest.
No, my argument I just told you was he should have. My argument was he should have made a change.
On the one hand, you say, oh, they look knackered, they're spent, nobody's got the energy. And on the other hand,
he should have made a change after 10 minutes of the game.
They've got Uncle Joe on their back with a whip. You know what I mean? They don't have the energy. They're knackered. They're gone. Porro couldn't play, because if Porro played, you'd be the first down his throat saying, why did he play Porro? No wonder he's injured.
But did you hear what I said about he should have made a change after 10 minutes of the game?
After 10 minutes, the game wouldn't have made any difference. One player wouldn't have made a difference today. Not one player. He doesn't have the players to make a difference. It's not Liverpool. We're not Liverpool, Barnaby. You better get used to it, mate. We've just come out. We are 6. Barnaby, hold on a minute. We are 6 games, as we've spoken before, 6 games into a 3-day period where we went. With Germany and back, we didn't even have a chance. There's no chance to train. Postecoglou said this. You must have heard this. You've reported it yourself. And yet you're saying, what's happening with the training? Why are all these injuries? No, we have the most amount of games in the shortest amount of time than any other club in the world right now. And we're still on only the 6th of 7 games where we only have a 3-day turnaround. We play Villa when? It's hardly worth them getting on the bus and going back home, is it, to the hotel? And before they get up to Villa, they might as well just go down to Villa and go, I'll call it a day, lads. You know what I mean?
How do we have more games than any other Europa League team?
No, we've had more games in quick succession for the past 3 months relentlessly than any other team. Look it up. It comes in at 3.66 games a day. All these other teams, they have full squads. Look at the 2 players.
We've literally just played a team tonight who've played exactly the same amount of games as us.
Yeah, and look at the squad they've got. Are they playing all their players
injured?
Half of their players
of them are injured, G. None of them are injured.
So
why do we have so many injuries?
Barnaby, they brought on 2 players, man, that would wipe out, would just walk straight into our club, man for man, right? And we're talking about kids here. Gray and that, believe it or not, are still kids. They're still children. They wouldn't be playing normally, right? Man for man, are you telling me that our squad is better than Liverpool's?
No, but I'm telling you that I expect,
and that's it, and that's all there is to it. Man for man, who has the better squad, the least amount of injuries?
Yeah. So why do we have so many injuries, G?
Why? Because we're fitting so many games into such a short amount of time.
Oh, at Liverpool,
but they have a full squad.
We have a full squad as well. We have 25 players.
No, yeah, they do, but they don't have. They have a full. All right, our full squad. Then, if you want to play that game, all right, then Barnaby. Our full squad.
I'm asking you why we get so many injuries.
I'm asking you. Our full squad, right, which is in a project mode at the moment. We're trying to get other players in to replace others. Our full squad versus Liverpool, man for man, right, as a full squad. Which squad has the better team? Would you say, player for player?
But you're totally ignoring my point.
No, you're nothing. Answer me the question.
You're ignoring my point, because my whole point is, which you say I bang on about, is why have we got so many injuries? Why? That is the problem. I say it all the time. I'm like, I want it to work for Ange Postecoglou. I like him a lot. Why has he got so many more injuries than everybody else?
I've answered your question. I've said exactly the same thing that you have also said.
No, because
we have
you said
games,
because we played more games than anyone else, but tonight we played Liverpool and they haven't had that many injuries. Why? Why? They haven't had any injuries, in fact.
Because they've got a full squad. They haven't changed. Their squad's practically the same as when we played them in the Champions League, and they've strengthened.
Sorry, then maybe you're just misusing
Come on,
the word.
Barnaby,
Maybe you're just
and have a look at the teams. Look at the squad.
maybe you're just
You
misusing the
yourself
word
said
full,
they've
because
brought on-
we
you
also
yourself
had a
said-
25-man squad, but we had 10 or 12 of them out injured.
So man for man, right? If we had all of our squad together at the moment, man for man, would you say that our squad is better than Liverpool's squad?
No. Why would I ever say that?
Well, there you go. Case closed.
The case of
And
what?
why do you expect that our depleted squad is going to go out there and thrash Liverpool tonight
Well,
without Solanke
I've
and
never
without
said,
Bissouma making a mistake?
I've never said we're going to thrash anyone. What I'm
You're not
saying,
going to thrash, no, but don't get on the words on it, Barnaby. Don't manipulate what I'm saying. What you're saying is you expected us to go out there and win tonight.
no, I never said that either. I expect us to put in a performance that had some desire and some kind of balls and some kind of grit and some kind of determination.
I know the players aren't fit and they've got no legs in them. So how do you expect that to happen?
Because
how do you
it's
expect that to happen?
Because
You
it's a
can't have-
semi-final and you fucking work your nuts off.
Of course they do, but you're not out there. Barnaby. Those
If you watch
players
it
are
back
out
and you
there.
watch them all jogging as the players run through the centre of midfield,
Right,
you
they're
come back
jogging
and tell
aren't
me
they?
players
They're
like,
right.
go and watch it. I've literally been watching
You really
it.
think, Barnaby, do you really think that those players just couldn't be bothered today because we won 1-0 and now they can't be bothered because there's a cup final coming up? Come on.
I
Really?
honestly think players like Yves Bissouma just don't have the right mentality to
I
do what is
agree.
needed to play this style of football.
I agree. You've picked on one player. That's true. Yeah. But we need the other players. We need, like Liverpool have, we need like those two players they brought on, their first substitutes. You said it yourself. What was that? Like 100 million's worth. And it weren't like a lot of their players, Klopp did a fantastic job. And this is Klopp's side, remember, don't forget. They did a great job. They got a great team. It's one of the best in the world. And you're expecting what we've got to go out there and like with no legs in them, knackered, getting injuries. You then want them to actually go that extra mile then and make more injuries. That's why Richarlison's out. We don't have another substitute. We got one in tonight. His first time. He's our only striker. We only had Solanke. That's why we got through in the first leg. I just don't get it, Barnaby. What you say
I'm
is
just
just,
calling
and I
for some
understand,
desire.
mate, I understand.
But
We're all
I've got to let you
grieving
go now, mate, because we've got 3
Barnaby,
minutes.
We're all grieving. Last thing. We're all grieving, mate, and I get it. I do respect you a lot, but I just think what you're saying contradicts yourself so much, and I understand why. Is because we've lost. None of us like it. We just have to take a minute and just have a look at the real situation. You know.
Yeah, well, gee, I think
Sorry,
for you,
Barnaby.
I think for you to suggest that I'm getting too emotional and too passionate is
Of
a
course
little
you are.
bit
We
like
all are.
pot and kettle. But
Yeah.
anyway, thanks a lot for
There you
coming on.
go.
See you later. Bye.